Morning, Fairfax community. Welcome back. We have done a lot of stuff with emergency services workers, but people who are in extraordinary situations. Extraordinary can be good and it can be bad. My guest today was in a bad, extraordinary situation, but it actually ties in with a lot of the other stuff we talk about. So it talks about PTSD and then how we get ourselves out of these situations and what we do. So I'm joined by Devin Kennedy from Nova Scotia, who is from a policing family, but his path took a bit of a different turn. Not a great turn, but from all things bad, positive things can come. Devin, thanks for joining us this morning or your evening.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Devin, can you just let us know, where are you actually? Where are you from?
So East Coast of Canada. So I'm originally from a small small island, Prince Edward Island. Like you had stated, I grew up in a policing family in like the rural shores of PEI. So it was one street. We used to always joke around that, you could go to sleep in the middle of the road at night and you'd never get hit by a car. Like
Wow.
It was pretty nice, and grew up on the beach. Father was a Royal Canadian Mounted Police for 32 years. So, but right now we're living in Nova Scotia. So it's a small little area here on the South Shore.
And when did you become a police officer? How many years ago?
So it's been 10 years in September. So I'm just coming up on 10 years. And this was my only post. It's a small municipal department. So yeah, I've been doing it for 10 years now.
What's the nature of your work?
Yeah. So right now I'm on general patrol. So like general duty. So where we're a small department, we have limited kind of specialized units. We have maybe 5 different units we can go to. So I did about 4 years with an organized crime unit. And then after that, I came back on general patrol. And so yeah, and then that's whenever everything went sideways.
So what's the size of Nova Scotia? We're dealing with more sort of a country town. We're not dealing with large metropolitan.
Yeah, so Nova Scotia is like on the east coast of Canada, so we're further east than like Toronto, Montreal, and stuff.
Yeah.
So we're like, the town that I work in is probably, I think they're growing up now, so it's only about 10,000 people, 8,000 people. And Nova Scotia, I'm not even sure what the population is now. But yeah, it's very like where we're at. It's kind of like a very rural, we're kind of in like the main city would be like Halifax, and then we're south of them. So yeah, so it's not a great big community that I police in, probably only about 10,000 people, but we have a lot of industry, like, the tire plant and fishing community. So there is a good bit of industry too.
Is it naive for me to say that you don't have the same crime problems as, say, a major city? Is it a little bit more pleasant as a police officer?
Yeah, I would say it's not like it kind of depends, right? It gets busy in the summer, slow in the winter, but yeah, it's not like that jumping call to call. There is a lot of downtime, but it seems like whenever it happens in waves. And the thing is too, where we're smaller, we don't have as much backup. So you could be working a night shift and with only you and your buddy. And then, so we have anywheres on like a day or night, anywheres from 2 to 5 members working. So, if shit goes sideways and there's only 2 of you, you kind of gotta, here we go, we're in for the ride, right? So that's the thing with the small town policing.
Do you have gun issues where you guys are?
No, a little bit of overflow here and there, but for the most part, no. It's there's opioids, a lot of opioid issues, and then like the usual kind of party drugs, but not the same stuff as you'd see in some of the bigger centers for sure.
Okay. So that didn't stop what happened to you last year. Can you tell us what happened? What was the actual incident?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. So it just recently got resolved in the court system here. So basically, kind of happened, like I said, it's a small town, and it actually kind of was like the famous last words, like, oh, we'll deal with this. It'll only take a second, right? So it was a fairly steady night, but nothing crazy. But everybody was tied up at calls, basically. And we would stop back to the office to grab something, and we were headed back out to go relieve one of the members that was at another call. And I heard the phone ring. I said, well, I'll see what this is. So the dispatcher was dealing with the call, and the call just came in that it was somebody drinking outside of their vehicle in a parking lot at the local coffee shop. So I was like, we'll deal with that, and tell them to pour it out, make sure they're good and stuff. So I had a trainee with me, a cadet with me, and I was like, yeah, we'll get this, bud. I'm like, you drive. We'll just go deal with him, and then we'll go over to relieve the other officer. And he had like 2 weeks service, so he was just like, okay, all excited, right? So
yeah.
Off we went, and it was legit almost right across the road from where our police office is. And so we drove by, and I was like, I think that's the vehicle. And he was like, yeah, I think that's it. So I said, we'll loop around. And that we had seen that he was in the driver's seat. So we're like, this ain't great. So we looped around, followed him down, and then tried to initiate a traffic stop. And it started to be obvious that he didn't want to stop for us. He only turned a couple of blocks and ended up going down a dead end road. So then I knew, okay, he's not from here, and he's definitely trying to get away. So I bailed out. He kind of came on the dead end road, and like I said, the cadet was driving, so I was like, hey, stop here. And I thought the guy had bailed out. I jump out of the vehicle. I see he throws it in reverse. I'm like, no, that's not good. So I jump back in the passenger seat again. I see that he goes around in front of our police car, and he has nowhere to go. So I seen that he kind of bumped, like he kind of almost like he got stuck up on the curb. So I was like, oh, perfect. He's going to run on foot, and I'll catch him. And as soon as I bailed out, I ran around. The sirens are going. The lights are going. I clear the back of our police cruiser, yelling, stop, police. And I hear an engine, and I just seen the hood of the truck. And I was just like, oh, shit, this is bad. So I could see
what
that
was
his
the
tires
vehicle?
were,
Describe the vehicle. We don't have vehicles as large as yours.
Yeah, so they're like, this was a small truck.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of what you guys might have over there, almost like a Helix or something, like a Toyota Helix.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like a quarter-ton truck, we
Big
call
enough.
them. Yeah. So, and then I seen that the tires were pointed directly at me, so I was like, yeah, he's gonna try to hit me, and I didn't even have a second. Like I was just like, oh shit, and then I just instinctively kind of jumped and tried to turn to the left because he was coming at me from the right. And I knew that at least that way it would throw me away from the vehicle. So that's the last I didn't get knocked out, but I was kind of barrel rolling after that. And
what did you land on? Was it grass, or was it a hard surface, or?
It was the pavement. So where I come around, we were kind of in the middle of the street, thinking that would make him stop. And obviously he didn't. So whenever he threw me towards kind of the corner of the street, mid street, like back from my vehicle, police car. And then he kept going, but thankfully whenever he hit me, I went off to the left, so he didn't run right over me again. He just hit me, I bailed, and then he kind of swerved and then took off going again. So thankfully I went up into the left.
And what was your partner doing at this stage?
He was so calm. Like I said, he was a cadet with like under 2 weeks service, and he was calm, cool, and collected. He, jumped out right away, which was great. Came to check on me, and I had gotten up to try to run after the guy because now I was mad. And and then I heard this massive crunch, so then I knew my foot was broke. So he was like super chill, super calm. He's like, "What do you need? What do you need? Sit down." And so then right away I just called for to let the other officer know that was responding to my location, to let him know that I was hit and to be aware, and kind of a suspect description. But it was, yeah, so it was kind of, everything happened pretty quick. I cleared the back being like, oh, it's going to be another foot chase, and I haven't lost a foot chase yet. And then all of a sudden I just seen the truck and I was like, well, this isn't going the right way. So,
So, so you had a fractured ankle.
yeah. So it was like,
So-
it was the third metatarsal. So it was kind of like
Okay.
that little finger bone on your foot.
Yeah. So that's,
Yeah.
when you consider what could have happened to you,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
good.
exactly.
That's
Yeah.
fine. But
Yeah.
what didn't escape you was the ensuing mental issues that you had and the PTSD. So
Yeah.
when did that start, and what was happening?
I'd say like I knew right away. Like after the incident, you're just in shock, right? Like I remember,
Right.
you know, I like I said, I didn't get knocked out, but I was cracking jokes with the guys, being like, "Well, this sucks." Like, right on, like grab me a coffee whenever you come to the hospital, you know, like.
Yeah.
And then I kind of like, and then I got released from the hospital that night once they figured out there's no head injuries and stuff. Because, like I said, I didn't get knocked out, but I definitely was barrel rolling pretty good. So, so yeah, I noticed within 2 days, within a day or two, I said to my supervisor, like, they asked, you know, they kind of, you know, are you doing good? And I was like, no, I'm not. Like, I haven't slept. I just feel weird. Like, and so then,
Were you reliving
kinda
it? Were you reliving the event in your mind?
yeah, to a degree, yeah. And like if I'd hear sirens, I would just like shut down. Because that was kind of like the last thing I remember, was lying on my back, looking up at the trees and seeing the police lights. So like even police lights would I'd have that panic response. So I
Yeah.
kind of knew within 2 days, really. Like, but then I had to wait a period of time because of paperwork and logistics, and so I was probably 6-7 weeks before I got into a psychologist. And in that
And what
amount
were
of
you doing in
time,
that time? You obviously weren't on duty, were you?
no. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I was off with letting my foot heal, and then once once I got put off more on the stress side of it, because I was still kind of scoring very high with the anxiety and depression and stuff. So
What
so
was
yeah,
what was happening around home with your partner and stuff? What was noticeable?
Yeah, it was difficult. So we've been together going on 6 years. And you know, I met her at the gym. She was my first, you know, my coach, and she's a sweetheart of a gal, and found out we were from the same island and this and that. So anyways, great gal. So, you know, I've always been very free spirited, happy go lucky, try to think that the glass is half full. But it was very difficult, and I was kind of, you know, we joke around, I was like Eeyore. I was, you know, I wasn't super depressed per se. It was just more just blah and nothing. I was just kind of tired of it. I was just, you know, kind of that started sliding into that, like, not a victim mindset, but, you know, kind of like defeated. I lost a purpose is what happened. Everything I've ever wanted to be as a kid ever was be a police officer. So I really lost my purpose because I didn't think I could do it. I remember breaking down to her, just being like, I don't think I can be a cop anymore. And she's like, we'll figure it out. It's okay. We'll figure it out. So
your loss of purpose is, without playing it down, the physical injury itself is something that you'll overcome, and you're obviously a fit person, but it's not that, is it? It's your mind that's.
Yeah, exactly. It was, and that was what was kind of scary about it, was you know, not like I didn't have a control over it, but I didn't. It wasn't just a broken foot. once the foot healed up, well, then I was still struggling with my head, and it wasn't just the constant reminder of the boot that was making me feel down. It was because I was really, really struggling, right? And I was.
What do you think it was? Do you think that were you thinking about the worst that could have happened to you, or was it more just a?
It was weird. Yeah, I think it kind of, like, you know, you're a young rookie, and you know, we've had some sideways calls where officers have gotten stabbed. Good friends of mine have gotten stabbed. They survived and they're doing great. But it's been a rough go, right? And, you know, with COVID and stuff, I think it was tough on the policing world. And I just think that it was just kind of like the breaking point. And, you know, like it was almost like my body was just like, man, like, you've been doing it for 10 years. Do you really want to do it another 20? Like,
Yeah.
and you lost that confidence that you were always going to be good and stuff. Like, yeah.
Did it make you think, I don't need this excitement anymore? I think I'd like to just have a more of a normal mundane office job or.
Oh man, so much. And that was, I was just like, I'm good. Like I remember whenever I was talking to my family doctor and they're like, oh, what about something exciting like military or something? I was like, no, I'm good. I was like, I've had my fill. Like I'm good. Like, I just wanted to, like I kept saying, I just want to be happy. Just want to kind of be that positive vibes that I had before. So yeah, it was weird how it kind of you could tell there was like a spiral effect though.
So you're a fit person. So
Yes.
where did your exercise come in helping you?
So prior to joining at the local CrossFit gym, I was 235 pounds. I was probably pretty good at drinking and not so much at doing burpees.
Right. Okay. So 235 pounds.
Really...
How many kilos is that?
Oh, solid question. Yeah, let me see what Google says. I was up there.
Okay. So you were carrying weight.
I was, I'm 6 foot, so 6'1", so 235 pounds to kilos. I got to tell you now, or else it's going to bother me. Okay, 10, almost like 110, 108. Kilos. Yep. So not good tackling weight. I could tackle people really good.
Yeah. So okay, so
then what kind of happened was I started at the gym, got really into fitness, and kind of knew that this would help me in my career, be fit if I had to run after people, so and just wanted a healthier lifestyle. So then, like I said, I was hitting all PRs at the gym. Everything was great. Been there for 5 years, and I think that fitness was a huge factor in how I was able to not only survive the incident, to be able to, because whenever I jumped, my hip hit the top of the hood as opposed to hitting the front where it would have put me in front of it. Like I basically was like, all right, he's gonna hit me. I got nowhere to go. Time to do a box jump and tuck and roll, basically, right? So So I think it was a huge factor and it gave me something like a positive outlet afterwards to kind of keep pushing through, go to the gym, get there every day, right? So
you went back pretty.
I started at physiotherapy 2 days after the incident. And the guy's like, yeah, when did this happen? I'm like, Tuesday or Monday or whatever it was. And he's like, okay, yeah, it's pretty swollen. I can't really get too much to it now, but this is what we can do. So I started the recovery process right away. I didn't, so let's get at this.
Okay. So that's, was that helping you or were you still not there?
Going to, you mean at the fitness?
Yeah. Was that helping you recover or you still were?
Oh yeah. Yeah. That was the biggest thing I would say I was only a couple of days, almost a week after the incident before I went in. A lot of that too was just because I was having that sensory overload and I just couldn't, I was kind of starting to shut down a little bit. But my Kamala partner, she's a beauty, and she was like, yeah, you got to keep at the gym. Like just go in. I don't care if you just do arm curls, just do something. Right. And it was good because it kept me getting out of the house whenever I was not wanting to, and at least for that one task for the day. Right.
Joe Rogan, the famous
famous Joe,
he talks about you've got to get your body active and you've got to challenge it or your brain will eat your body. And there's nothing. So on that, where did swimming in the ice lake, where did that come in?
So basically what happened was I was like, what do I got to lose? Right. Like I've been off work. I think I was off work for a good 3 months by that point.
It's a long time
or more. Yeah. And I was just kind of like, I got to figure something out. Like I'm tired of just, through the medication and the psychologist, the team was great and they are great. They're keeping me going through the rough patches. But I feel like I was just kind of like, I got to try something. Like I got to do something here. So I just started going down the rabbit hole of like the Wim Hof method, cold water therapy, the benefits of it. And I ended up taking a like a course on sleep, stress, and recovery, and
Mhm.
a lot of the stuff in there is talking about your central nervous system and your fight or flight and all this. And I was like, man, like this is all the shit I'm going through. So it really kind of opened up a lot of like doors, and just started. I kind of, like I say, I went down the rabbit hole. I was just like, all right, and started like researching it, looking into it, and I was like, well, I got a frozen lake right there because we're fortunate. We live on a lake just outside town.
Yeah.
I was like, well, fuck, there's a lake right there. Why don't I just go chop a hole in it and see if it can help? And the first time I was like, that was amazing. And then I was like, all right, well, let's try it again. So
What
it kind
did
of
you feel
gave
the
me
first
something
time you did it? How long did you do it for the
cold.
first time? And what did you feel? Did you
Yeah.
then transition from cold to something else?
No. So that was one of the things I liked about it was, or that I read when people were saying that you, like the thermogenesis kind of effect. So letting your body naturally warm up. And two, it was kind of like it was almost like a little mental test for me, or a little like resilience test, where I just
Yeah.
kind of was like, oh yeah, I'll warm myself up inside standing here. And, it was good. Like, yeah, I just kind of like legit played around with it. And then it was kind of like a fun thing. People were like, why you hate the cold weather? Like, why are you going out and freezing yourself in the
How
lake?
long do you go in for?
So I started off at like, I think the first time I went like 45 seconds to a minute.
Yeah.
And then I got up, I think the longest time was almost 7 minutes.
Mhm.
So yeah, I've kind of been around there. I'd try to get at least 3 minutes. But yeah, it was good. I can't meditate. Like I can chill out enough to really meditate per se. But yeah, I got it. You have to whenever you're in there. And that's what I found was so interesting was, I'd be in there and I'd be thinking of other stuff and kind of chilled right out. And it's super quiet here too, right? So it was just nice and peaceful.
So the famous Joe Dispenza talks about how we have to try and stay in the present, but we spend so much time looking forward and looking backwards, and we forget about the present. So
Yeah.
I, as you know, love my ice baths, either swimming in the ocean or getting in a bin with ice. So
Yeah.
for you, so you've got all this stuff going on. When you get in the ice, is it fair to say that because of the resilience and the concentration, your focus, you are completely just in the now?
Yeah. And it was pretty, because I know people always talk about mindfulness and being present, but it's hard. Like, I come from like I said, like an old school policeman family. My mother was very in tune. She was a doctor of acupuncture, natural medicine. So I kind of grew up around that too. So I was pretty body aware. Like I said, I caught it pretty quick, being like, no, something's not right. I need help here. Like,
well, it sounds like you've picked it up very quickly, because people can go on for years before they.
Yeah.
And no offense to Western medicine, but medicines which do help people, they're not help. They're masking it, aren't they? They're helping, but they're masking it as opposed to.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. And yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah.
So tell me about. So you've progressed through that. How many months have you been doing the ice lake for now?
So I started, oh my gosh, it would be kind of like a midwinter, I think, or actually before. I think it was in the fall.
Yeah.
So it would have been like November. I probably kind of started.
Okay.
And yeah, like I just kind of kept doing it. And then it turned out to kind of be like have a go and joke with the guys, right? Whenever they'd be reaching out to me from work or friends at the gym, they'd be like, "Oh, you going in the lake when you get home?" And we'd be putting our winter jackets on, right? So it just kind of got to be a thing. And more people would talk about it, like, well, why'd you start doing that? And I was like, well, one of the side effects from my incidents, I can't really regulate my CNS, and this helps it. And then people are like, oh, I struggle with that. And it kind of get the ball rolling. Like there's so much need for it. Yeah, I just kind of
so you're doing it. Are you doing it every day?
Yeah, so at the time I was trying to do it every day, but it would average out to every couple of days.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But it's now part of your routine, yes?
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is like, so now it's getting warmer. We're having a really crappy friggin' so far. They say it's summer, but it's been cold as hell and raining every day. So
what's the temperature of the water in winter?
And it's fine.
In the warmer months?
Oh, in winter?
Yeah.
Ooh, it's cold. You got to chop through the ice.
Yeah.
So the coldest I've done it in was minus 40 degrees Celsius with the wind chill.
Jesus.
And that was more just as I didn't stay in long. I can tell you that, maybe like 30 seconds or so.
Well, there's
but it was like
your resilience training, isn't it? I mean, and it translates
yeah.
across everything else. That takes a fair bit of resilience to do that.
It was, and it actually kind of was like a joke because, like I said, my girlfriend, she was like, "You're not going out today. Like the power's out. Everybody's home from the storm. You're not going to your ice dip today. Like there's a instant chill or instant freeze warning on." And I was like, "I'll be quick," So I kind of like scampered out and hopped in, and it was good. So
tell us about your movement. What
yeah,
have you created, your organization?
Yeah. So kind of what happened was through all this, I kind of, like I said, I went through the rabbit hole of like sleep stress and recovery courses, and then being like, okay, like there's a need for this with first responders, because as first responders, we either work like 2 days, 2 nights, 4 off, rotating 12-hour schedules. When do you fit your timing in for your training, your nutrition? Like I always would get the munchies at about 2 a.m. I'd be hammering a candy or something because my body wanted that dopamine hit to get through the night shift, because my circadian rhythms were all out of whack and I was up and I should have been asleep. So the more I kind of dove down that, I was like, man, there's a lot of need for this for first responders. And I could see kind of how fitness had helped me kind of build my body's resilience up. We always have those tough times and those little dips in the road where stress gets the best of us, but kind of building that body's tolerance up.
Yeah.
And then I was just kind of like, all right, let's do this. Like I took my CrossFit level 1, I started taking my nutrition course, and just kind of, I just loved it. And then it was a kind of a positive outlet. So I wasn't focusing on the symptoms of the incident or work stress. I was focusing on like, okay, how can I help this person? How can I help that person? And
tell me, what's the name of your movement?
Yeah, so it's called Resilience Through Fitness.
Yep.
And like I have, kind of thought of a million different things, different names, and it was like 1 o'clock one night in the morning. I just woke up and I was like, Resilience Through Fitness. That's it. Like, and I don't know what the hell. And I was like, all right, let's do it. And I just kind of kept rolling with it. So, it was, it's been good.
So I'm a first responder and I'm struggling with stress and sleep and everything. What will your organization do for me?
Yeah. So the biggest thing we'll do is everything's personalized. Everything's custom to each client. So we have kind of, the way it's set up is it's all online. It's through a coaching app, but you have direct access to me. And yeah, if you're a first responder, you let me know your schedule, what your work stress is. Like we have kind of an intake type form. Yeah. And then basically, depending on your goals, how often a week you want to do it, we kind of come together with a pricing plan, and then we get you online. And so if you were doing like home workouts, I'm like, okay, perfect. What do you got for gear? If you're doing it at a facility, sweet. What do they got? Let's do it. And I kind of, everything can be personalized to each person. It's not a cookie cutter type way of doing it. And then kind of like helping them out too, right? Like, okay, you're not sleeping. Like, how can we work on that? Like, I'm not a trained professional, but we can kind of help each other work out here. Maybe we have to adjust your training time to give you better results. If you're a night owl or a morning lark, it's okay. Like whatever, we'll make it work, so being flexible.
Have you got anyone into ice baths yet?
Yeah. It's ironic. Actually, one of the clients the other day was like, I'm telling you right now, if you tell me to do an ice bath, I'm not doing it. So yeah, no, not yet. But there's actually been a lot of interest and feedback from, I've got some people doing like cold showers. Yeah. And I remember like one of them was like, I couldn't do it. I jumped in, I jumped back out. I'm like, well, did you jump in when it was hot, like warm? And they're like, no, I cranked it cold and I jumped right in. I'm like, well, to start, let's adjust the temperature gradually, like so you're not just jumping into it.
How many clients have you got on your books?
It's been good. So it's taken off. PT, like in-person PT stuff's, I'm tapped out. I'm full because I'm still working my full rotation with policing. So, but all online and stuff, I'm still good to go. I'm still plenty of openings. So right now I'm juggling around, we're at 15 clients. And I rotate through, like every day in the morning, I check in on everybody's progressions from the day before. And every week I'll send a video message kind of going through each client's kind kind of the goals, what we're looking for that week, explain out some different workouts for the week. And then go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Devin, sorry to interrupt. More people need to know about this and get access to it. So I need you to give me a plug. How do people know? Because if you're online, don't just have to be in Nova Scotia, do you? You could be anywhere. So
no, anywheres.
How do people get in contact with this fantastic idea?
Yeah, thanks. So it's I'm online through Instagram. So it'd be Resilience Through Fitness.
Yep. And that's the tag, is it? At Resilience Through Fitness?
At Resilience Through Fitness, yeah. Yep. And then the website's www.resiliencethroughfitness.com.
Okay.
And then they can even send me a direct email if they'd like. It's Devin, Deven, at resiliencethroughfitness.com.
Okay.
And then we kind of...
Sorry.
I was going to say, we kind of like start... If they send an email, then we can kind of start the conversation. What are their goals? What are their training schedule like? And we'll make it work.
Well, I'll make sure that I put it up in the show notes, and I'll also put it on the Barefax Instagram as well, because
thanks.
What a terrific idea. I haven't heard of it before. I'm sure there are other ones that do it, but it's fantastic. And because of online now, it doesn't matter where you are, If you're on the internet, you can access it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly like, I don't just work with first responders. Some of my clients too are the general public, civilians. I think everybody needs more resilience. I think that we all struggle. We have our struggles throughout the days and the weeks and the years and stuff. And fitness can be a huge positive outlet. So we're not doing the unhealthy coping mechanisms that can just make it worse.
The alcohol crutch.
Yeah. And that's it, right? Like, that's kind of like, I guess, such an appreciation for everything. Like, I wouldn't say I struggled with alcohol, but I definitely wasn't using it sometimes in the right way. To deal with the stresses of the job that, everybody's got stressful gigs. So
Devin, where are you at now? How is your mental health now? How is everything?
It's pretty good. It's great. It's like anything. We have our setbacks. And I think that because I caught it so early, I still have my struggles, and I still have the days where I'm like, man, I need a minute, or I think I'm more aware now. Like, if I see myself kind of having or jumping up into that sympathetic nervous system and not being able to regulate back, I can catch it a little easier. And my work partners are great. They're all aware. I've been pretty open as to my struggles and stuff, but I'm doing really good. Like I say, I'll never lose my win mentality. I think that was the scariest part, was whenever I was going down and in the dumps, I kind of was just like, whatever, I don't care. Like, I was kind of like lost that drive, but then through fitness and kind of digging at it again, like, that's what I say always to my partner. I'm like, no matter what, like, we're going to get through this. We're got that win mentality. Like, I'll be fine. I'll make it work.
It's amazing, isn't it, how the body is programmed? And I think, what is it? Is it only 2 or 3% of our actions are conscious? Most of our actions or reactions are subconscious, and just that kicking back into that sort of, well, particularly in your line of work, that hypervigilance, how the body just kicks back into that. It's that ego, isn't it? It's protecting you, but good Lord, it's not good for your body.
No, exactly. That's it, right? It's all like that stress management. I think that's the biggest thing I tell clients is, I'm like, your body doesn't know the difference between what stress is what. It just knows it is stress. So you got eustress and you got distress. So if you're super, super distressed at work, and you're not managing that stressful side, well, then we have to make a little bit of adjustments to your workouts so that the eustress, the good stress, isn't going to offset your body. Like, you kind of wanted to manage everything so that you get the best results, really.
I'm just sorry. I am listening to you. I just want to promote it again. Guys, if you go to Instagram and go to, let me just check it again. Profile. So Devons_fitness_life. And also there was another one too, wasn't there? Can you just mention that again for us, please, Devin?
Yeah. So the Devons, DEVNS_fitness_life.
Yep.
That's there's a lot of the cold water goods in there.
Yep.
And then resilience, RESILIENCE. through fitness.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Devin, I think you're a bit of an anomaly, a bit of an exception in that, not that it's anyone's fault, but people go on for very long periods of time with PTSD, and they try different things. It would be really fantastic if people could be able to recognize it earlier, like you have.
Yeah.
And for people listening to this, I know that I have a bit of an emergency services following. Please go and have a look at Devin's website and message him. And if you need to reach out in these very important jobs that you people do, then please do, because as much as you're saying you've got this number of clients coming through, it's very important, isn't it? Because as you say, people join these jobs for the passion, and you've done it through the family lineage. But unfortunately, with these jobs of passion, there's a flip side, isn't there? And it's quite nasty, as you've seen.
Yeah, for sure. And I think being there, like for the other first responders that are listening, is, you know, breaking that stigma. I think that there was talk of it, and there has been a lot more since I started 10 years ago. Like whenever I started 10 years ago, like it's only 10 years, but it was still a big difference than now. But you know, in me opening up about my struggles and being like, man, like I'll tell you everything, I'll tell you whatever you need, you know, like, you know, talking about my symptoms, what I was struggling with, other members I kind of opened up, and even if it's just going for a coffee, right? And having a yarn and chat about it, right? Like I think breaking down those barriers and those walls of you know, that we're fine, I'm fine. It's like, no, like it's all right, we'll figure this out, we'll talk through it, maybe just getting it off your chest, or it'll be good, right? So managing that stress, I think, is huge with first responders, and just breaking down the barriers, like we get through it.
Devin, I know that the area of Nova Scotia thank you for your service and your continuing service, but that job alone, any job where you have to carry a firearm, is extraordinary, and people appreciate it, and people don't ever really thank you for it. But the fact that you did escape something really nasty physically, but mentally it did catch you. Your organization that you've started is fantastic, and what you're doing is extraordinary. And thank you for all that you do, and thank you for a really, really interesting chat.
Yeah, buddy. Hopefully it was helpful, and thanks for everything you do. I really appreciate that. I almost used our bin too. I was like, man, that's what he does. I was like, I'll just fill it up with ice, you know. So,
my bin, that bin I used, never had any rubbish in it. So
yeah. Well, I'll definitely need a new bin then if I do.
Devin, thank you. Keep going, and guys, please go onto the show notes and onto either my Instagram or Devin's. And if you need someone or you need something like this, please get in contact with Devin. Devin, thank you for your time today.
Thanks so much. All the best, my man.